Okay, I'm going to put her in the hot seat, and I'm going to go do something else in the other part of the house. I want her to do this free form without Mom's interruption.
Okay. And then I'll get you later, PJ, to finish it off.
Yeah, we'll do a separate interview if that's all right with you.
Yeah. Now, how are we going to kick this off? I was thinking something like this, actually.
Thinking? Oh, what are you thinking?
I was thinking. I was thinking of starting off and saying, well, so how old are you, Abby?
That actually sounds like a good start.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll start it. Thank you for doing this interview. Hi, Abby. How are you?
I'm doing fine. And you?
I'm doing well too. Thank you very much. Okay. And what country are you from?
I am from America.
Okay. Now, I believe you're wanting to expose something. Is that right?
Yes, CPS corruption.
Wow. Okay. I would like to take you to the time on Thursday, last Thursday at 11 o'clock. You're in the state of Georgia, is that right?
Yes, yes, Georgia.
So it was Thursday, the 22nd of February?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened, Abby?
They actually drove up from what I could see from my bedroom window.
Uh-huh.
And they started to knock and pound on the front door.
Oh, my goodness.
Of course, I locked my bedroom door.
You knew who they were?
Yeah, it's only the CPS people who pound on the door.
How many of them were there?
I have no idea. I did not look out the front window. I stayed in my room.
Oh, okay, but you saw the car drive up?
Yeah. Yes, 2 cars at first. I don't know.
2 cars? Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Was there any police with them?
Actually, yes, later on when they entered the house.
Wow. Okay, so you eventually opened the door?
No, I actually had to open the door for Mom when she came back.
Uh-huh.
She was currently taking my dad on a hospital trip. Actually, he's very currently sick, but no, he's not dying. He actually will be getting better.
So your mum eventually came home and they were still waiting outside?
Yes, she had to knock on my bedroom window to get me to notice that she was outside. Yes, and she was bringing him back from the doctor's appointment on a stretcher.
Wow. So your dad's in pretty bad shape?
As of now. But he's actually been getting better lately.
What's your dad suffering?
Parkinson's and epilepsy, as well as anorexia from the Parkinson's.
Because of the Parkinson's, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So when you opened the door eventually, how many people were in your house, excluding your parents? Or, yeah,
I actually did not count because they were all over the place.
How many would you say? Would there be like more than 6?
Probably around 10, maybe 9.
9. So there was 2 police. Was there more than 2 or just 2? More
than 2, and then there were 2 CPS workers. I ran out back to get my shoes, and 2 the policemen followed me and warned me if I tried to run, they would taser me.
Is that what the police said to you?
Yes. If you try to run, then we will taser you. Those were their exact words.
Do you remember the name of the detective who actually said that?
No.
Were these plain clothes or they were in uniform?
They were in uniform.
Wow.
We have the card. Brian Childress was the one who threatened me with the Childress, who threatened me with the taser.
Well, you must have been very scared.
Actually, I guess, but I don't really remember.
Oh, my goodness.
I was actually more angry than I was scared, to be honest, concerning that I was insulting the CPS workers.
Okay. But more or less, you explained your rights, or well, of course your mum would have.
doing most of the talking while I was inside the house.
Yes, I agree. And your mum's trying everything to look after your dad, and
Yes.
And this happens.
Yes. Well, they first came claiming that there was multiple counts of child abuse. Later on, in the paperwork, they actually were claiming that I was not doing schooling regularly, even though I do that school every day, 14 hours each day, even on weekends.
Yeah.
And that I read 500 words per minute. And that was admitted in the paperwork, apparently.
So, and that was notated. So, in other words, you're supposedly abused, and that you're not being schooled appropriately.
Yes. Apparently, the principal at the K12.com schooling, where I go online to every day for my schooling, was claiming that I was not signing in regularly and was not doing my homework, even though I have been.
So, and now all that is proven to be actually false.
Yes. And they also came into the house without a warrant, even though in the United States, no man, at least the king and the king's man, cannot even go into the humblest house, a few sticks propped together, without a warrant. So they entering our house without a warrant was against the law.
Abby, are you able to say verbatim what the Constitution says about that? Do you know what the word verbatim means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
It means stating something for word for word.
Okay, all right. So, do you know the Constitution word for word?
Yes, I actually have memorized Article, Amendment 4, which states that they cannot go into the humblest house without a warrant.
Wow. Okay. Well, can you say it for me?
Sure. Amendment 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
Wow. And what does that mean to you, Abby?
That means that they cannot go into the humblest home without a warrant.
Was there a warrant on the day that they came?
No, they came into the house without a warrant or will for them to come in.
So there was no court order or anything like that?
No, they've actually been coming about several times and trying to come into our house without our will.
Wow. Well, that's pretty shocking, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Would you say that would intimidate any child your age?
It was very intimidating, especially staying in your room for several hours listening to them bang on the door.
And they just waited there the whole time, just waiting?
Yeah, and knocking and calling the phones.
Well, that's a pretty scary situation.
I was hiding behind my bed.
I understand. So, all right. So eventually, there was a big flap, and then more or less you were taken. Is that right?
Yes. There was a big hullabaloo where Mom was calling our lawyer,
Yeah.
and I was taken after I had gotten my shoes and stuff. Oh, I just messed that up.
No,
Sorry.
Say it again.
After I had been threatened while I was trying to get my shoes, they shoved me into a car with 3 social workers and drove me off to the police station, where they signed some paperwork and took me to the CPS office.
Wow, so you had to go to a police station first without your parents?
Yes.
Was it? Well, that would have been a little bit scary too, wouldn't it?
Yes, I was actually expecting to be thrown into a cell.
They didn't explain that to you, what was happening?
No. After waiting several hours at the CPS office, they finally drove me to a Christian foster home and left me there.
Was there other children there as well?
Yes, except for they were very crude.
Oh, speak into the microphone.
Except for they were very crude.
The children?
Yes. They would actually cuss each other out, throw insults, they rap, and so on.
Do you think they were scared too?
No, they've been there at that foster house for several years, each of them.
Without any parents?
Yes.
Do you think they were all hurting?
I'm not sure. And foster mom
Yeah.
was amazingly huge, obese, as it's better put. She was amazingly obese.
How many children were in there? Did you have like your own room?
Actually, we were to share two to each room, and then we go to each room. There was one bathroom that was shared with another room.
Oh,
Also,
so
you could not get outside without setting off an alarm.
how come?
They had an alarm system. If you accidentally opened the door, that you would set off an alarm that would bring the police there.
My goodness. So you're in prison?
Basically.
Okay, so did you explain also the Constitution to the social workers or the police?
Yes, I told them that they could not have gone into my house without a warrant. And they actually were arguing with me about that fact. They said that they in fact could go into my house without a warrant.
Well, okay, so you spent the night there and you were very worried. Was it a school day?
Yes, both Thursday and Friday I was there.
Right, so did they impede on your education?
Yes, they would not allow me any access to a computer that was connected to the internet. Thusly, I could not get onto my school, and I in fact missed several classes with some of my teachers.
My goodness. And did they send you to school?
No,
Okay, but the allegation was that you're inappropriately schooled, and they didn't find remedy to that, did they?
no. That I in fact told them many times that I was in fact schooled on the internet by Georgia Cyber Academy. So they not allowing me access to a computer with connection to the internet is in fact educational abuse in itself, considering that they would not allow me to school.
Alrighty. Now, you're fairly familiar with the law, aren't you? I would
Yes.
say you are. For your age, I think you're
Yes.
appropriately trained. You understand the neglect side that they were suggesting. Can you explain to me what is the neglect? The forms of neglect.
Mom's got it in the paperwork. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Also, several of the girls were sick while I was at that foster house, and they did nothing to protect any of the other children from getting sick as well.
Were they on medication or appropriate medication, something that your mum would give?
No, they did not even give me allergy meds when I had a migraine.
Wow.
I had to bring them with me so that I could get allergy meds to stop my migraine.
Can you explain what neglect is? Do you know what it is?
Yes. Neglect can be physical, medical, educational, or emotional.
Wow. Well, that's exactly right. All right, what else are we going to talk about?
Yeah, the food situation.
Yeah, okay. And, Abby, the food there, can you explain the food?
Since I have special needs and cannot eat meat, milk, or eggs, or any animal byproduct, I was unable to eat anything but fruits while I was there. All I was able to eat was oranges, raspberries, and strawberries.
All right, now, so we've covered food. What else can we cover? All right, so were you able to contact your mum in the evening to actually,
No,
to calm you down or anything like that?
They did not actually let me have access to the phone either. I did not have access to the telephone, the computer, or even TV.
Wow, so they don't even allow TV in the house?
Yes, they had a TV with Xbox and so on, but I was not allowed to even touch it.
Wow.
Nor was I able to touch the 4 computers that were there.
All right, what else can we talk about? Well, so hey, I want to go back, Abby, and did you do anything wrong for the officer to threaten you? Did you commit a criminal act?
No.
Did you cuss the officer?
I did none of that. All I did was tell him I need to go get my shoes, and then I ran out back to go get my shoes.
Actually, hang on. You'll have to get the microphone closer, Abby. All right.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I'll say it again. When the officer suggested tasering you, had you committed any crime?
No.
Okay. Did you cuss the officer?
No, I did not.
You never cuss anyone, do you?
No, I don't cuss.
Your mum actually is very particular that no one cusses in front of you. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Has your mum ever smacked you?
No.
Your dad?
No.
Okay. So that officer was way out of line by threatening you, a child, to be tasered.
Yes. All I did was run out back to get my shoes, which were out back. And he followed me, telling me if I would try to run, I would in fact be tasered, even though I was not going to run. Though I did in fact see his hand on the taser.
So it was a real threatening stance against you, or towards you.
He was on the stairs with his hand on the taser while I was only a few feet away picking up my shoes, even though he could see that I was not going to run.
Do you think that's the best interest of a child, to actually do what they did?
No, that in fact was not. That was the complete opposite. They were treating me as if I had committed a crime, which I had not.
Would you say your parents do anything wrong towards you at all?
No, they're in fact probably the nicest parents that there is.
I would say so too. All right, so let's go back. So that night, you're in a pretty scary environment.
Yes.
Did you sleep much?
Concerning that I had trouble sleeping and they make you wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, or else they pull the blankets off of you, I did not get much sleep.
All right. What else can we talk about? You weren't allowed to talk to your parents that night.
No.
So what happened in the morning?
I was forced to get up with the rest of the girls. All I had for breakfast was just a few fruits And they dragged me off with the rest of the girls to go for them to go to school while I waited behind. The rest of the morning they left me alone to do anything I wish. So the most I could do was read books concerning that they had locked the kitchen off.
They locked the kitchen?
Yes, so I was unable to eat either.
So they locked the front doors, they locked the kitchen.
Locked the back doors, locked the side doors. They had locked every spare door there was.
And the windows have got bars on them?
No, there was no bars on the windows, but the windows were, in fact, if you opened them, they would go off. Also, at night, you were not able to close your door.
They've got alarms on the windows as well?
Yes. And when I was studying the map that was put in the room I was sleeping in, one of the janitors came in and actually said to me as if I was trying to escape, "Are you trying to escape?" As if I was going to escape. I was simply figuring out what the layout was.
Okay.
She had confronted me like I was trying to escape. Also, you need to ask the question, was I under arrest?
Okay. Was there at any stage, did the police state or anyone that you were under arrest?
No.
So, well, that's it.
So they did not read me my rights either.
Well, they did take you into their custody.
Yes.
Surely they should have read you your rights?
All they did was shove me into a car after pulling me away from my mom.
And it's the law in the United States, isn't it, for the memoranda rights to be read if someone is taken into custody?
Yes, it is.
And you understand those rights, don't you?
Yes.
That you were denied the memoranda rights?
Yes.
Wow.
And I was not even allowed to call my attorney. I was not allowed to access a phone.
Well, that doesn't seem right, does it? So adults get more... because adults understand the law, adults do... Hang on, how am I going to say this? Adults are treated better than children, is that right?
Yes, that is. That is, in fact, a violation of 14.1.
So you have less rights as a juvenile than an adult. Is that right, Abby?
Actually, under 14.1...
You're going to say this verbatim?
Yes, wait. Stated as, Abby, do you actually have less rights as a juvenile than that of an adult?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Okay.
Title 42, U.S.C. Section 14.1, pattern and practice is unlawful for any government authority over juvenile justice or the incarceration of juveniles that deprives persons of rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. A. Excessive force. B. Discriminatory harassment. C. False arrest. And D. Coercive sexual conduct.
So they did discriminate against you, didn't they, Abby?
Yes, and they also falsely arrested me.
Yeah, they did. And after everything was done, you actually were able to come home. When were you told you were going home to your mum?
The next day. They said that I would either be home by that day or by Tuesday, 2 o'clock. I had to wait from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then an extra hour for them to take me home. So I had, in fact, to wait from 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. for any sign of them to be taking me home.
If you didn't understand the law, and nor did your parents, can you see how children would be taken for sometimes months, if not years?
Yes.
Yeah. How long were those other children there? Did you ask them?
One of them stated how long they had been in the foster care, and that had been 2 years. Some had most likely been in longer.
That's pretty scary, isn't it?
Yes. I am very glad that I did not stay that long.
Did any of them say that they miss their parents?
Yes. Many of them. In fact, all of them. They wanted to go home.
So you think that false allegations sometimes is the reason that children are removed from parents?
Yes. I was in fact one of them.
Most definitely you were. How do you think you would be able to handle if you were there for a week? Or
I would not.
You would not?
I would not handle it very well. All I was able to eat was vegetables, and that is not very good, considering that would cause my weight to drop down dramatically, and I would be, in fact, underweight.
What do you recommend? Now, I'm not saying law or unlawful or whatever, but since you are over 12 years of age, what do you recommend to any child that has been taken away illegally by CPS?
Not to behave or go with your orders. If they order you to do something, do not do it.
Would you recommend that they run and come home?
If they have the chance, yes. The point is not to allow yourself to be sellable by the CPS workers, as they will sell you.
So it was a pretty wide awakening as to what these people do.
Actually, I have known what they have done for years. It's just the first time that I've ever experienced it firsthand.
And that's only because your mum has helped so many people, is that right?
Yes. I actually have been told by several children, if they drag you away, to kick, scream, and bite. And if they try to drug you, kick, scream, and bite even more, and cuss.
Was any of those children on medication, do you think? Were they taking any psychiatric drugs? Not that you've seen.
Not that I saw.
Okay, that's good.
I don't think they would have trusted them anyways with medication. They wouldn't even trust them with dull pencils and paper.
Wow.
They were freaking out over the fact that I had 2 allergy meds in my pocket.
Ridiculous.
Yes. I had brought them along since I had a major migraine from them knocking, and it had caused me my blood pressure to rise up, and thusly they had caused me a migraine.
Okay. All right. I think we've covered absolutely everything with you, Abby. What I will do is I will get your approval first, and then once you approve of it, I'll get your mum to approve of it, and
Okay.
only then will I post it up for everyone to see. Okay?
Okay.
All righty. Abby, if you can put your mum on.
Sure. Here she is right now.
Well, I've known you for a very long time. You're the international court watcher.
Yes, sir.
And you've helped thousands of people over the years in obtaining and ensuring they get their children back.
Yes. Internationally, We started with Scotland and Ireland, besides the United States, and we've blossomed out to include Australia and around the world.
You have. Well, it's an honour to actually do this actual interview with you. For what you've done in the past is absolutely incredible. Do you think CPS is a little bit upset that you've helped so many?
Oh, I'm sure of it. Georgia is also the state that killed their senator for exposing CPS corruption. If you want to look it up, it's the CPS, the corrupt business of child kidnapping. Nancy Schaefer and the corrupt business of child kidnapping.
Yeah. All right. Well, PJ, Abby had the jitters all the way through that. Probably you don't have the jitters. You've done this time and time again, I suppose.
I've done radio for a few years, 6 days a week, and I've done television with On Second Thought TV for a couple of years, intermittently.
Abby's schooling, would you say she's above average?
I don't even read 500 words per minute, and I've had speed reading courses, so yes, she's above average. And I really wouldn't play her a game of chess. She is a wicked chess player.
Yeah, well, the condition was, she made me stipulate, was that we did get to play a game of chess. And I'm just a little bit nervous that my Facebook readers are going to be watching, or that they'll hear the end result. I'll never live it down.
You won't.
That's if she beats me anyway. All right, well...
And Brian taught her to play chess since she was 6 years old.
What did you do differently that other parents, they have struggled so hard to get their children? What did you do differently to obtain and get your daughter back within 25 hours?
This all started on January 9th, 2013. Then again, they showed up on February 13th, 2013, and again on February 21st, 2013. That's 5 different times. Some of them were twice a day. They would show up, and they would threaten me. Well, we are going to get it signed by a judge. I said, until you've got it signed by a grand jury, you can kiss my patootie.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, get a warrant or get off my property. And, of course, they would knock and they would go around the property making my dog bark, and they would repeatedly demand that I answer them. And I would come out and I would answer questions that were basically, does your daughter live here? Yes. Do you live here? Yes. Is your name such and such? No, my name is PJ Stewart. It's on all of my documents. It's not the name that you have. You have the wrong person. They were absolutely livid that my name is PJ Stewart.
Being the international court watcher, of course, you've affected and changed children's lives and parents' lives by ensuring that they are armed with the right information in getting their children back.
Right, and the biggest thing you want to remember when dealing with any of these public officials is if they don't have a real case where you've committed a crime, they can't touch your kids. Have you beaten somebody? Have you stolen from somebody? Have you committed murder? I mean, a real crime, not just something flimsy like, you didn't go to school often enough. That's not a crime. That could be a sick kid for all we know. It's not a crime. If the child is still thriving, if the child is healthy, if the child is well educated, then the state need not interfere.
I think so. No, I totally agree with you. I understand that you were on the phone to... how many people did come into your house without a warrant?
There was about 8 or 9, and they whipped through my house. They went into Abby's room. Abby had booby-trapped her closet so that when they opened it, all these pool foamies came flying out at them. And I heard them cussing in the background. It was great fun if I wasn't so pissed. But I heard them cussing about that. They came out after they opened up her booby trap.
Oh, so they searched also?
Yes. Yeah, they searched through my house. They had made up accusations of other things so that they could do a search for drugs.
Wow. All right. Now, I understand that you called the lawyer while you were there, or while they were there.
Yeah, and they told me that it was too late to talk to my attorney, and it did not matter. They were taking my child and they were searching my house.
Wow.
It said, but you have to have a grand jury indictment to search my house. And to force me to answer without my attorney present, you have to have a grand jury indictment. Do you have an indictment? He says, we don't need one. We're CPS, and we're here to make sure you give up your child and your house is searched because we have a piece of paper signed by a judge. And what it really was a rubber stamp. What CPS did was they wrote this document, stated that the cop had to use force if necessary to remove my child from my house, and by any means necessary, search it. That means even if they had to break the law to search and seize my child, they were going to do it.
Did they give you a copy of that?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Now, you eventually spoke with your lawyer. Can you explain to me what, excuse the French, but dirty, greedy lawyers, what did the lawyer say to you?
He said, well, ma'am, if you want to get your kid back in 6 to 9 months, you better fork up $3,000 for a retainer, otherwise I'm not going to take your case. I have prepaid legal, and I sell prepaid legal. And I was under the understanding that after you've been with them for a couple of years like me, you got some representation if you're arrested. Well, my child was arrested, and I got no representation. Then I was informed that I had to pay out of my nose for something I'm already insured for.
Wow, that's that lawyer shield that I've seen on your website, is that right?
Yes.
I've seen it there for years.
Yes.
What's the name of that company?
It's called Legal Shield now, but it used to be called Prepaid Legal.
Would you recommend them in a heartbeat?
Only for writing letters. They're wonderful for writing letters to companies.
I see. So
you get, thousands of dollars of letters to companies. If somebody's illegally billing you, they'll send a letter saying this is not the individual. Well, that could save you $10,000 there, right there. So it's good for that, but it's not good for what it represents itself to be.
Okay. I understand that you did an immediate writ. Can you explain what that writ was? Is it a common law writ?
It's actually a habeas corpus writ because they arrested her.
Yep. So she was being detained, so therefore that was the reason why you raised a habeas corpus?
Right. And I sent it off to all of my senators and representatives and all the lower council members for Valdosta, the city of Valdosta, the county of Laudis, and the state of Georgia in the United States by email.
And you filed it in the court?
I was not allowed to file it in the court.
Why was it filed in the court? That's your prerogative. You're entitled to file.
Well, what they had done was that they had closed the case and dismissed it with prejudice so that it cannot be opened again so that I cannot file paperwork.
Wow. So you nipped it in the bud even before it went to court.
That's correct.
You weren't even...
But I was also calling up the social worker and telling them, you're a kidnapper. I am not negotiating with you. You will bring my child back right now, or I will have a warrant out for you. As a matter of fact, for Serena Smith, the head social worker that kept coming over and bothering me and harassing me, I had a warrant out on the door, and I handed it to Brian Childless.
He's the police officer.
And said, you must enact it. He says, I do not have to enact any warrant that is not signed by a judge. I said, if there is 2 more witnesses to the crime, you absolutely have to enforce it.
Yeah, by 2 or 3 witnesses, every word shall be established. That's common law.
Right. And he said, oh, no, we don't ever arrest social workers.
So
he handed it back to me.
Did the court understand, meaning to stand under, to accept, did they understand that it was an illegal arrest?
Yes, they even allowed me to call the social workers kidnappers.
Wow.
I even said in there, they said, well, what about the paperwork that you can't, that CPS wants you to produce so that your child can stay in this school? I said, I cannot produce something out of my fanny, my arse, that is non-available. Who am I going to do? Call up some school and demand that they provide a record that is not there? And I already tried to get the city where we used to live to produce a Georgia proof of immunization, and they said, this is California. Bug off.
Because you've moved states.
Yeah, I moved across the country.
Yeah.
At one end of Australia to the other, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone from the west coast, California, to Georgia, which is the east coast.
Yeah. I understand Abby's gone now, but you've been extremely worried about your husband's his health.
He's not my husband. He's my best friend in the world. And he nearly died on the 4th of February. He was in the hospital for 8 days. And he dropped from 134 to 112 from pneumonia. It's amazing that he made it out. He still only weighs 120. He's 6'3". He should weigh 180 pounds. He's extremely thin. He should not have been forced to sit in that wheelchair. What CPS did jeopardized Brian's health and life. Okay, the first time that they showed up, I demanded that they have the warrant.
Yeah.
They didn't have it, so they just kept coming back. When they showed up and took Abby, it was hellacious. They only had just, Brian Childers, the cop, told us that he had had it signed before he had showed up at 10 o'clock in the morning. When he showed up at 3 o'clock in the morning, when Brian and I were getting back from the doctor's appointment with Brian on a stretcher, he was like, well, I told you, I was going to tell you that it was signed by a judge and that you had to comply. Well, it was not signed by a judge until 2 o'clock.
Ah, so they can presume and they know what the courts are going to state before the event happens. So they are the court virtually.
Don't we usually call those people a little on the psychotic, delusional side that know things ahead of time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then they took Abby from me. They didn't give me notice where she was going. They didn't give her the right to a phone call so that she could call me. They gave her a bunch of clothes, but they didn't feed her. They didn't take her to school.
Are you the legal guardian for your daughter?
Yes, I'm sole legal guardian.
So therefore, being the legal guardian, if she is needing some legal assistance with something, well, then the parent should be informed, shouldn't they?
Yes, they should be informed, and they should be allowed to call their attorney, and they should be not forced to talk to them, because under the United States Constitution, they have the right to remain silent. and not self-incriminate. And they were not allowing Abby to do that. They forced her to have a mugshot taken of her. And that's when the second time that they threatened to taser her is if she did not take off her hoodie and if she did not look at the camera, they were going to taser her.
Wow. And you never approved of them taking a photograph of your daughter?
No, I do not want people taking photographs willy-nilly of my child.
And it wasn't as if it was a public place. It was actually in your home.
No, when they took her to the police station like she was a criminal, and they photographed her like she had done something criminally wrong.
Wow. It's pretty shocking, really.
Yeah, it's very shocking.
So what words of wisdom have you got for parents out there who haven't dealt with CPS in the past?
Don't talk to them. Don't agree to them. Before they had the court hearing, 4 CPS workers propositioned me and informed me that my daughter was coming home, but we needed to talk about a parenting plan and classes for me. I told them, and you'll have to excuse my French, and if you want to edit this out, it's okay. Get a fucking warrant or let my kid home because you kidnapped her. There is no abuse, and I want her home now, and I am not agreeing to anything you have to say. You're fucking kidnappers. Get the fuck out of my face.
I understand, PJ. And I know that you're not a person who cusses normally.
No, I'm not. I do not allow cussing. But there are times that it's required because if you do not speak the language of the narcissistic, they cannot come up to your level and act and understand at your level. You must go down to their level because their whole life is about anger, not about love. So you're dealing with narcissistic people who think that you adore them. They've never, ever had some parent come in there.
I'll correct you. Respect them. Respect them as in respect them under the law.
They've never had a parent come in there who could quote the law and hold them to it and refuse to back down, ever. This is the first time it's ever happened. The judge's eyes were the size of the saucers. The CPS workers, after they had to return Abby home, they were late. I called them up. I said, "Where's my fucking daughter?" and hung back up. I get a call back just 30 seconds later. "Oh, Miss Stewart, we're so sorry. We're running late. There's traffic on the 75. And I'm like, I don't care. It's $1,000 per minute that you hold my child illegally. The bill is $1.44 million for the day that you had my daughter kidnapped. And the meter is running. Get her home." I didn't say goodbye. I just hung up the phone. My poor phone, it's falling apart because I've slammed it so many times lately.
Yeah, I know. Oh, boy. Parents that have
they were trying to force me to negotiate. When they got into the courtroom, the public pretender stood up for DCSF and said, "We are dismissing the case with prejudice. The case is closed." And I said, and I refused to sit down, and the bailiff threatened me. She got up, put her hand on her gun, and said, "Sit down." I just looked at her like, "I'm not even listening to you." And I said, "I get my chance to talk in court." And the judge looked at me like, "Oh, yes, lady." And after the attorney for CPS sat down, the judge said, "Mrs. Stewart, would you like to have a few words?" I said, "First off, my name is not the name they were giving. It's PJ Stewart. And secondly, you've kidnapped my daughter without a warrant from a jury. You've forced us to answer without a grand jury indictment. This whole proceeding is nothing but void and can be challenged at any time by any person. It's void, and I want it done. I want my daughter back now." He said, "It's done, lady." And he said, "Well, the paperwork will go to the attorney, and we'll mail yours." I said, "I want mine now." He said, "We'll mail yours." I said, "I want mine now." He went, we can't do it right now. We're having to type it up. I said, bring it by. He says, we'll mail it. What's your address?
Yeah.
So I gave him my address and left. But I was not, at one time, was I disrespectful, except for to the social workers and the cop, because he didn't have a warrant. He was aiding and abetting in a kidnapping.
Yeah. All the parents out there that have lost their children, they've probably got the jitters, you know, just even hearing what you're saying. And I feel very sorry for those families and what they're going through. Do you think, and can they actually put the writ in to at any time into the courts for obtaining some sort of justice?
You know, these courts are like in California. The courts are, the judges in the state of California are taking bribes from the counties so that they will not take cases against CPS or any of the officers or any of the other stuff. It's getting so bad across the world because, like I said, you've said, I'm an international child saver. It's getting so bad that people are rioting left and right. And eventually all corruption pops just like a bad zit. And it gets cleaned out. But for right now, getting your writ in there, getting your child back, my best statement is never, ever cooperate and always, always state your rights. Don't answer any of their questions. I never answered any of their questions. And they showed up today and were circling like vultures in my backyard. I just put in purple potatoes and purple broccoli into my garden. Remember, they've accused me of drugs, quote unquote. So they were looking in my silly garden, which is full of onions, basil, and garlic, and my purple potatoes and my purple broccoli, which is only 4 inches tall. And they had no business because under double jeopardy, they can't charge me again. They didn't find anything because there was nothing to find.
Yep.
And under the 4th and 5th Amendment, they better have a search warrant to be searching around my property.
Can you explain what you do to actually put a writ in? How does one put a writ in? If they knock up the writ, they copy yours, which I'll, with your permission, give a link to. I'll edit out the information of your details. But the thing is what do they do? How do they actually submit it?
Basically, what I do is mostly a bill, and it's called a points bill. What I do is every time they make a point against me, I counter the point, and then I state the law to counter it. Okay. I can just say that there's two things that any public servant fears, and it doesn't matter where they are in the world. They'll lose their job or they'll be sued, okay? It's that simple. Lose your job or be sued. Is there anything you can do to make them afraid of you so that they could lose their job or be sued for what they've done?
I see. And the actual writ itself, do they actually just get it stamped as an application in case, or what is the actual document that they use, depending on the state that they're in? But is it just a case of advising them that you're wishing to put in a writ with a superior court?
No, because all of these superior courts in the United States have not been ordained except for the one in Hawaii. The Congress has to ordain every one of these courts, and not one of them are. And they're pirate courts is what they are. They're courts of piracy. They're under
commercial law. That's what you're trying to say.
That is what I'm saying. And they're not under commercial law because then you could hold them to the law. They're unlawful pirates. What does a pirate do when he comes into a village, let's say? He rapes, pillages, and grabs the children and sells them as slaves. Well, what do they do to us when they put us in jail? A cavity search. Tell me that isn't rape.
That is.
And do they take everything you own if you owe any child support? That's pillaging.
Yep.
Right? So, pillaging, raping, and selling your kids for slavery. They're pirates.
Yep. Yep.
So, I'm not going to pussyfoot about it and say, oh, it's commercial. It's not. It's piracy. It's land piracy.
All right. So, parents that have been fighting for their children, using lawyers and getting nowhere, what do you recommend they should do in that situation?
Lawyers, in my opinion, even ones that I normally like, for like prepaid legal, are worthless unless you need a little letter written. After that, they are absolutely, they told me, 6 to 9 months to get my kid back, if I was lucky. The hope is, there is only one hope, and that's to stand up for your rights. Teach your children not to be sellable. Teach them not to cooperate. Teach them to not use any violence, not to run, but not to cooperate. Because the whole thing that they're looking for is children that they can sell. My child is unsellable because she is refusing to obey them, and not only that, but they would give her a command and she would purposely ignore them.
But the problem
and then pretend like she forgot.
But then they try and suggest that they have some sort of medical disease where because of the depression and the hurt and everything that's happening to them, that they in turn, without parental decision, drug the child.
Right. That's if you let your child stay in there for 6 months.
Yeah.
If you get your kid out like I did, by being just absolutely dog-eared determined to get the child back, and have just enough legal ease behind you to say, hey, my Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights were violated, my Hague rights were violated, my common law rights were violated. If you do that fast enough and you've taught your child their rights, chances are you'll get your kids back. I don't win cold cases. Anything over a week, and I don't win them. That's just plain a fact. If I can get to a parent within 24 hours of their kids being stolen, I can get that kid back. And I've done this and taught others how to do this for years now. I've been doing this for almost a decade.
Because pretty well the parents accidentally contract, even by saying, do you understand? And they've accepted contract with them or with
right. You never answer authority, you always question it. So if an officer pulls you over here in the United States, where's the warrant, officer? Where's the emergency? It's about always questioning. If he asks you, do you know how fast you're going? You say, no. And is that actually a constitutional law? I don't see any injured party. Do you see anybody injured around here? Are you forcing me to answer without a grand jury indictment? Oh, you are. Do you understand that you're committing a 1918, which is striking against the constitutional form of government? It's a high crime. And a high crime or misdemeanor is enough to get any officer removed from office. That's also Constitution.
Your partner, it's been his motivation in ensuring that your child has the appropriate knowledge and skills that has saved her. And
yes, her parents. Yes. Rose's parents have been very, very verbal about everything. Abby also helps parents that have just had their kids taken on how to be calm and how to get their kids back and how to never let this happen again. She's a very big advocate. For being such a pint-sized little thing, she is a huge advocate for other people. She's got the heart of gold.
She has a heart of gold. All right. Well, I thank you, and what I'll do is I'll save this, and I'll give you a copy first, and you have a listen, and then we'll put it up.
Okay. The second part that Abby didn't tell you is Amendment 5.
Mm-hmm.
Amendment 5 is the law that you see. There's two of them that you have to tell any cop when they come into your house in the United States to save your family, your home, and everything you own. Amendment 4, the right of the people to be secure in their persons.
Amendment 4 or Amendment 5?
No, there's two of them. There's two of them that you have to, okay?
Yep.
Social workers are not immune to the 4th and 5th Amendment. No matter how pissed you are at me, I have been already subject to false allegations of CPS. Therefore, I may not have to be put into double jeopardy for life or limb ever again for this same case. I am just as pissed to have my child kidnapped by you, and by the way, the bill for her kidnapping is $315 million, and for the time she spent falsely arrested is $1.4 million. Pay up. You'll need to have 4th and 5th Amendment rights memorized. They are Amendment 4, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched, and the persons or things to be seized. Amendment 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or an indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising out of the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Brian has these memorized. Brian has epilepsy and Parkinson's. If he can memorize it, the rest of us can too.
Thank you. Thank you very much for doing this interview with me.
You're very welcome, John.